Hi, I'm Dave Westcott, CEO of Evergreen Brands. Today we are talking about build your own brand of crazy, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Because how are you different? What makes you different from everybody else? This pen I'm holding, I don't know if you can see this or not. You've all heard that saying for the salesman, sell me this pen. This pen cost $1,700. I paid $1,700 for this pen. You might think that's freaking nuts. This is a Mont Blanc pen, inlaid with 24 karat gold, super heavy. Sometimes it does not write as well as a Bic pen. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Sell me this pen. Could you sell a $1,700 pen? Think about that. Could you sell a $1,700 pen? What happens if you lose a $1,700 pen? What separates you? What do people do? Why would somebody go out and buy a pen like that? Even a $300 pen, $500 pen, anything from Mont Blanc, very expensive. Why would anybody go in there and buy those products? Why would they do that? Because they've created a brand that's been around for many, many years that people believe in. The pen isn't just a pen, it's a symbol of status, it's a symbol of beautiful writing instruments. They told me they're selling more pens than ever. The more the digital age moves on, the more people want these fancy pens to write fancy letters with. When you sign a contract on your first home, or the first time you sell $1 million deal, do you want to sign it with a Bic pen? Or do you want to sign it with something crazy? Do you want to sign it with a George Washington caliber pen? I remember I was meeting with a gentleman who owned a big snow company in Cherry Logistics in Chicago, and I was meeting with the owner of that company. His name was Michael Healy, and this was many, many years ago. And he said, have you ever sold $1 million job? One job worth $1 million. And at the time I hadn't. Biggest job I'd ever sold at the time was $750,000. And he told me the pinnacle of all pinnacles is selling $1 million job. And I thought about that, and I thought, that's kind of cool. Selling $1 million job, that's what he thinks is the pinnacle of all pinnacles. Shortly thereafter, I signed $1 million job. It didn't feel like the pinnacle of all pinnacles to me. I feel like today, the pinnacle of all pinnacles would be selling a $100 million job. I have yet to do that. Maybe I'll do that this year. I don't know. But when you build your brand of crazy, how are you going to get where you need to go? What separates you from everybody else? What makes you different from everybody else? When I first started my business, many, many years ago, I was doing landscaping work. I started in the landscaping industry. And when I was there, I can remember I was working for this lady. It was the sister of Sue Eastman. Sue Eastman was a real estate agent. I bought my first home from her, and she would give me little landscape jobs every so often. And she referred me to her sister, and her sister had a beautiful home overlooking the water in Edmonds. And it was up on a hill, and she wanted some landscaping done, and she wanted the grass edged, and she wanted the weeds pulled, and she wanted the bushes trimmed. And those were the things that she wanted to have done. And it was simple, so I gave her a quote, probably $300 or $400 at the time, and I went out and I did the work. And I worked so hard to impress this lady. I mean, I really felt like I went above and beyond. And, you know, when she got home, she was disappointed. She said, oh, the edging isn't what I expected. The edging isn't perfect. And I said, well, what would you like to see? And she said, well, I'd like it to be a little crisper and cut. So, you know, we brought the edger out and we cut these perfectly straight corners and these perfectly straight lines, and we did it. And in my mind, it was the most beautiful edge I'd ever created, but in her mind, she still wasn't happy. So I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again. And finally, she paid the bill. And it was so perfect. I mean, it was like I couldn't, to this day, I don't look back and say that wasn't the most perfect edge I'd ever created. And Sue said something to me. She said, you know, you have to decide what kind of business you want to be. She said, you have to decide whether you want to be a company that does average work or does exceptional work. Because somebody like my sister wants exceptional work. And it was kind of a diss, and it was kind of a shot at me. It was very rude. I didn't buy another house from her. And when she found out that I bought another house, she called and asked why. And I said, well, it's because you're kind of rude. Because I believe in being honest. But at the end of the day, the point here that I'm making is that she said, you have to decide who you want to be. And she said, you know what? I don't try as a real estate agent, as a landlord. She owned 20 some properties, you know, a very wealthy lady. And, you know, she said, I don't buy the best properties. She said, I buy the more rundown properties, and that's okay with me. That's the kind of landlord I am. She said, I decided I didn't want to be a landlord to rich people. She said, they're picky and they're difficult and they're hard to work with. She said, but if, you know, I work with people who aren't so picky and aren't so rich, they're easy to work with, and my life is a little bit better. So she decided, as a real estate agent, what kind of client she wanted to have. And that's always stuck with me. I've never forgotten about it. And I've never really been happy about the outcome because I still believe we did a great job. But I decided right there, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the Kmart? For those of you old enough to remember Kmart, if you're not old enough to remember Kmart, Google Kmart. You'll see what it's all about. Blue light special. Or do you want to be Nordstrom's? You all know who Nordstrom's is, right? That incredible experience. With an incredible experience, you can charge more, but there is more expectation of what you are going to deliver. So you think about those two things as you're building your own brand of crazy. I'll tell you another story. There's a company that I know and that I admire and that it does lots of revenue, and they work in the Midwest. And, you know, I was having dinner with a couple of the owners, and they said, you know, we love these government contracts for mowing because we can come in and we can just mow. We love the vacant parking lots. We love the vacant lots because there's no expectation on doing an awesome job. We're going to do an average job, but we're not a company that's committed to doing an excellent job. Their entire business, from what I understand or from my perspective, isn't based on doing a great job. They're based on doing an average job for a customer who pays an average rate, who expects an average job. And they're happy doing that. And they've found that that's their niche. And so really understanding who you're going to be in the marketplace is really, really, really important to building your own brand of crazy. It doesn't mean, by say building your own brand of crazy, it doesn't mean that you have to go out there and try to be somebody else. Be who you know you can be. Don't be all things to all people. I have a brother-in-law who's in construction. This might get me into some trouble. But I have a brother-in-law who's in construction, and he give you a price, does the work, and the work takes forever to get done. It is so slow. And I watch him come in and work, and I watch him come in and work a half day and then leave and then show up and then go get materials and then be on site and then have to take off early. And then at the end of the job, he's always like, oh man, I didn't make as much money. I didn't make very much money. Oh, the job took so long. Oh, but you think about all the breaks he took. You think about all the time that was wasted in between. The disorganization is what I call it. And I said, hey, listen, man, instead of doing these jobs where you bid $15,000 and then it takes you much longer than you ever thought to get the job done, you say you don't make any money. And I believe that you don't make any money because you waste 3 to 4 hours of every day. I said, maybe you'd be better off as one of those contractors who charges a lower rate, maybe $40, $45 an hour, and tells the client up front, it's going to take me a little bit of time. I kind of come and go, but I'm going to give you a really cheap hourly rate, and I'm only going to charge you for the time when I'm on site. And I'll give you the receipts for the materials, and you just reimburse me at the end of every week. And you know what? I would rather buy from that guy all day long because at least he was honest and at least I knew what I was getting paid for. And I'm fine to pay the hourly rate. And so that kind of customer, that kind of job, that kind of who am I, that kind of work, it has a place. And I bet you're busy as all get up and you make the money that you want to make and you make the money for the time that you're there. But at the end of the job, you always made money. Versus giving a bid, showing up half the time, the job taking double as long, the customer being frustrated, them not having a good experience, thinking that you're going to get the job done and the job taking much longer than you thought it was going to take and you're not making the money that you wanted to make. You got to understand who you are as a business owner and what you can do. Do you want to have employees? Do you want to do it all yourself? You got to know what's in your heart and you got to know what drives you. Is working to live what drives you or living to work what drives you? Do you want to spend your weekends on the boat and your afternoons hanging out and just making enough money to be able to live the life that you want? Or do you want to be the guy who gets in there and grinds and kills it and builds an empire? It's all, or do you want to be something in the middle? It all depends on what you want. It all depends on what you want to be. And so as you're building your brand of crazy, as you're doing that, you've got to determine what are the things that separate you from everybody else. I've built a business called Condo Shield. Condo Shield provides property management services to condominium managers. To board members for condominium associations. I love this business. I love the Condo Shield business. And you know what? We do a really good job at Condo Shield. I'm not here to promote Condo Shield, but when I decided to build Condo Shield, one, I wanted something that was like the gold standard. Do you remember what the gold standard is when all of our money was backed by gold? Like a gold bar was worth the money. And I wanted to deliver that gold standard service because here's what I found in property management, community association management to be specific, condominiums, homeowners associations, HOAs. I found that the level of service delivered by every single company in the market was bad. Why was that bad? Why was that service bad? Well, that service is bad because there's no culture in the company, right? There's no incredible experience for the employee. And what do I mean by that? The average community association manager starts work at 8 o'clock in the afternoon. They get off of work at 5 o'clock, and then they manage between 13 and 15 properties. Every month there's a meeting, and there's only 20 working nights in a month. So they are gone between 13 and 15 nights a week doing meetings, and then they're back at work, and the average association has 250 homes, and they are run ragged, and they are beat to death, and they are tired. And guess what? There's a huge gap in customer service and customer delivery in that industry. And so when you're looking at building a business, you want to find a place where there's a hole. You want to find a place where there's a gap. And if you have the solution to the problem, right? If you have found a solution to a problem, you can take that business wherever you want it to go. And that's why I love that business, because my competitors, the people in the industry, haven't built amazing customer experience for their employees. They don't have great cultures, and they work their people to death. If you go on Indeed, it'll tell you the average salary for a job in an area. Well, I did that. The average job for a property manager is $65,000. Wait a minute. You're telling me that you're going to pay me $65,000 a year, and all I got to do is be at work from 8 to 5 o'clock, and then I got to do a meeting 13 nights a week, and then I got to come home and listen to a bunch of people complain about dogs going to the bathroom in my backyard, or who parked their boat in the neighbor's backyard, or their dog growled at me funny, or Mrs. Smith is very angry with me. You're telling me I get to make $65,000 for all that? Sounds horrible to me, actually. So what do we want to do? We want to make sure we take care of our people, right? We want to make sure we pay them the right wage. We want to make sure we pay them a little more. Well, that means we got to charge a little more. If we're going to pay a little more, we got to charge a little more. Right? And then we decide what we're going to focus on. What are the pillars of success for this business? What does success look like? Easy. Communicate every day. That's all you got to do. You want to be successful in community association management, just respond every single day. Communicate to every single person who reaches out to you by the end of the day. You want to be successful? It's that simple. That's the recipe for success. Here we call it create your flywheel. And at the top of the flywheel, it's incredible customer experience. What are we going to do to deliver that incredible customer experience? And here's the deal. To be great, you don't even have to raise the bar all the way. You just have to do it better than your competitors. What was the difference between Blockbuster Video? Do you remember Blockbuster Video? What was the deal with Blockbuster Video? You rent the video. It's Saturday night. You go out, you get the video. You rent maybe 4 movies because they got a deal on it. You get a, bag of microwave popcorn. You get, 2 boxes of candies, whatever it is. You go home, you watch a couple movies the next day. It's Sunday, you're relaxing, and you still got 2 movies to watch. And you're like, okay, well, I got to throw these in, and you throw them in and you're relaxing. It's Sunday, you've got your pajamas on. It's 8:57 and you just finished watching Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You run out of the house, you throw the videos in, you're in your pajamas, you smash to the Blockbuster because there's one on every corner like 7-Elevens. You go in, it's 9:01. You're banging on the door, you can still see the guy in there. He's like, ha ha ha, you're late. You put the video in the slot, and here you go, $35 late fee. Dang it! The late fee wasn't $35. I just exaggerated on that. So just make the story interesting. Whatever it was, $3.50, $5, whatever. But you got hit with a late fee. Why couldn't that deposit time have been midnight? In all of their customer feedback, what did they get? What did they see? What did they hear? Hey, the late fees, the late fees, the late fees. Blockbuster at its height had something around 100,000 employees and 9,000 locations. You can Google it for the exact amount, but it's a massive company. And look, you had Hollywood Video, right? Everywhere there was a Blockbuster, like there's a Hollywood Video trying to go right next door. And what did those companies do? What did Netflix do? You remember Netflix? Right? What used to happen? They used to get the videos in the mail. You get the little DVDs in the mail. So you go on the site, you sign up for an account, you order the movies that you want to watch, and boom, they show up in your mailbox. I can't even remember how you returned the videos. I think you mailed them back or something. And Blockbuster was doing the same thing, right? They tried to catch on a little too late. And then we got Redbox. You remember Redbox? Redbox was revolutionary, right? It was like, oh, I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and pick up 4 movies for 99 cents or whatever it was, right? Movies in a box. Totally different concept. But as the juggernaut of the industry, as the major player in the industry, what did they not do? They didn't listen to their customer. They didn't take the feedback from their customer as the industry giant. Do you think that if Mont Blanc with this $1,700 pen, do you think that if they didn't listen to their customers, they'd go out of business? Or did they stay true to who they were as a pen company? And because so much is digital now, that people are actually going back to enjoying writing. They want to write now because now it's so infrequent. I can remember my mom growing up as a kid, we get these Christmas cards. People would write these letters about what was going on in their lives in these Christmas cards. It was like the annual update. And my mom would take the Christmas cards and she'd put them all around the door and she'd hang them on the ceiling. You come in the house and there'd be 150 Christmas cards. And each one would have like some really unique story in it that somebody took all the time to write. I think I might get 2 or 3 Christmas cards a year. And they're all from my local Allstate agent. Right? And he says, best wishes. He didn't even tell a story. But what are we doing with our customers? What are we doing with our customers? What are we listening to with our customers? When we build our brand of crazy, what are we changing? What are we doing in the industry? What was the gap in the industry, right? What was the hole that needed to be filled? Well, with Blockbuster, it was simple, right? Start moving digital. Start making that happen. Right? Put a lot of emphasis in the change, put a lot of emphasis in the movement, get rid of the late fees, let them turn the video in at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. or 6 o'clock the next morning, right? Little changes that would have had a huge impact on the business. So if you really want to build that brand of crazy, you find that gap, you find that hole in the industry. Even with Blockbuster Video, the juggernaut, there was still a huge hole in the industry, right? And it started with DVDs by mail. This crazy phenomenon that I could get any video I want and I didn't have to go out to the video store. I could just go to the mailbox. And now what is it? Now we can get the video by just going on and live streaming, right? So what are you doing in your industry? What hole can you recognize? What pain point can you recognize that nobody is filling? Community association management, is that for me? Condo Shield, is that for me? Nobody's filling that pain point. The industry sucks. It's funny. And it's crazy because sometimes I go to these meetings with our team and we talk about our services and we talk about what we provide. And sometimes these associations still will choose a company that we've transitioned 10 accounts from that are basically, they just suck. And it's amazing that people will still buy that service. But I tell you what happens. You're never going to close every deal. You're never going to win every contract. But the thing is, if the lasting impression is incredible, if it's an incredible customer experience, if you do everything to deliver that to your customers and you stay in touch, you stay top of mind, it's going to turn back around. And they're going to think, you know, that Condo Shield company, that gold standard was there. That company that stayed true to who they were was there. That company with values, that company with integrity, that company with culture. That company that filled a gap, that filled a need, was there. And maybe you're not always going to win the work if you're charging that Nordstrom price. But I promise you this, everybody wants the Nordstrom service. Everybody does on some level. Even the guys in the Midwest who are offering mid-level service for mid-level pay for mid-level contracts. As they scale and as they grow, that incredible customer experience is still what is being searched for. You know what people hate about contracting? They hate that they call the contractor gives them bid, says they're going to start in 3 weeks, and they don't start for 6. They say, hey, oh, I'm sorry, this was a 6-week project, now it's a 3-month project. Right? They drag on and on and on. They're like the used car salesman, right? You remember the old used car salesman before the internet? So what are we doing in business? Why are we here? What's our purpose? And so you write those things down and you decide who you want to be. What does your company look like? If you're going to offer mediocre service, then you don't say the words world class. You don't say the words incredible experience. In my mind, there's a big difference between Disneyland and Six Flags. Disneyland is immaculate. Some of those Six Flag parks, I'm a little scared to get on the rides. I'm just going to be honest with you. They're doing a little bit of creaking, right? They're not as clean. I'll give you an example. Went to Disneyland with the family, absolutely amazing. Somebody's cleaning up trash. There's people waiting to wipe down your tables, just sitting there staring at you like, when are you going to be done with your meal so I can clean your food and your plate? Go to Universal Studios the next day. Unlimited soda. They have an unlimited soda cup. And they've got these unlimited soda stations all over the park. 50% of the time when you go to the soda fill station, there's no soda. 30% of the time you go to the soda station and it smells so bad like spilled soda that it smells like old barf. Do you want to fill up your cup with soda when it smells like barf around you? No, you don't. The experience is not incredible. It's not the best, most amazing, most expensive day ever. And in my mind, Universal and Disney don't compete. Sure, Universal has some cool rides. But I can tell you that I do a lot of business in California and I do a lot of business in Florida. And when you're there and you have your kids with you and your family travels, because one of the things that I decided early on in business was that I am not going to have a family if my family can't come with me. I'm going to make all the sacrifices I need to ensure that we're always together. What's the point in having a family if you don't see them? So the family comes along and there's always, you have that extra day that you can stay and you can go hit up a park. We've been to Universal Studios one time in California. We've been to Universal Studios one time in Orlando, Florida. We've been to Disneyland 8 times in California. We've been to Disneyland in Florida 4 times. What's the difference? The incredible customer experience. And I've decided for my business that I'm going to be obsessed with an incredible customer experience. And I'm going to charge the most that I possibly can. I want to be that Nordstrom's, but I need to deliver on par. That means I need to be available 24/7. That means my customer service needs to be the very best. I need to do all of the things that come with that cost, that come with that incredible customer experience. And so if you're sitting down and if you've taken notes, if this has been of any interest to you at all, it's decide who you want to be today. Do you want to be the average companies? Do you want to be Blockbuster Video? Do you want to be Kmart? Do you want to be Circuit City? Do you want to be Borders Books? Or do you want to be Barnes & Noble, who's still alive, by the way, with a bookstore? The bookstores are pretty cool. Do you want to be Best Buy? Best Buy's still around. Right? Do you want to be Walt Disney? Do you want to be Starbucks? Do you want to be Costco? Who do you want to be, and figure out how you're going to get there? My name's Dave Westcott. If you have learned anything about this today, if this has been beneficial to you, shoot me some feedback. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's get hooked up. Hook up with me on LinkedIn. If you want to chat, if you want to discuss your business, if you want to do that, hook up with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to do it. If you want to check out any of our businesses, check out condoshield.org, transblue.com, transbluefranchisecompany.com. Check us out. Take a look at what we're doing, because it's all about changing the world. It's all about building your own brand of crazy. And I challenge you today, decide what kind of company you want to be and build that. Create that vision for yourself and for your business. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I look forward to seeing you next week. Same date, same time, same channel. Build your own brand of crazy. This is Dave Westcott signing out.